It's 2026 and you're thinking, I'm ready to grow, I'm ready to expand, I'm ready to open a studio. I'm gonna take you behind the scenes and tell you the dark truth about owning a studio. All right, so as you guys may have noticed, I have been working here in Greenwood Co. and we have owned our studio space for about a year now. We're coming up on the year mark pretty quickly, and it has been an incredible ride. And when I say it's been an incredible ride, I want to put an emphasis on it has been a ride. I've had spaces before, some big, some small, co ownership, partnership, all of the things, but there's nothing like having your own space, something that you're putting your sweat equity in, that you're investing into, that you're putting your dollars behind, that you have control over, all of the things. And it can be extremely rewarding. But I also want to tell you the truth about owning a studio. Some things that you may not think of when you think about owning a studio. Number one, access to capital. Now, when you open a studio, you can get a studio in all different types of shapes and sizes. They may be new build, it may be an old space that has been refurbished. But a lot of times, if you're opening up these studios, you're going to need access to capital. Unless you just balling out the gym and you've got, hundreds of thousands of dollars, or maybe not even hundreds, tens of thousands of dollars, and you can say, hey, I'm ready to open this space up and I can, pour into furniture and options and things. 9 times out of 10, you're going to need access to capital. So that means you're going to need to take out a credit card or a line of credit or a loan or something that's going to float you a little bit of money in advance so that you can be able to build out the space to your liking to do what you need. For us, we decided we were going to take a business line of credit. We used a lot of that capital to buy furniture and resources so we can build out our studio as a co-working space because we wanted a multifunctional space. And so that does come with a little bit of risk that people I feel like don't talk about enough because once you put that money up, you have to pay that money back. And it doesn't care if the studio is doing well or if it's doing poorly. They want their coin. So be mindful of how you generate capital to pay for your studio. Some people, they go the low and slow route. They'll say, hey, we're going to open up this space. I can afford the overhead of paying the space, but I may build up based on what I already have and what I want to add to over time. That's perfectly suitable, perfectly fine. Some may take out a loan, say, hey, we want to build it all up front. I know people who've owned gyms, they've taken out 30,000, 50,000, buy equipment, etc. It's no different with doing production studios or photo studios and the like. You have to build out backdrop sets. You have to put things on the wall. If you're not a handy person yourself, you may have to have somebody come in and hang uh, wallpaper and wood panels and paint, and then there's furniture. All the furniture needs to be put together. And who's putting together 15 chairs? Not you. So somebody got to do it. You got to figure out what that's going to look like. So be mindful of that as you're building out this space. Like, how much capital do you have on hand? How much capital can you actually assess and still be able to pay back? You don't want to take out more than you can actually pay back because that's going to put you in the hole and then you're going to end up resenting this studio space before you ever even move in. So be mindful of those things up front. These are decisions that should be made before you even assume that you're going to move into a studio space. Number two, thinking about expenses. So your expenses are going to depend on the type of studio that you move into. You might move into a studio where all your expenses are paid. You pay one overhead fee of $2,500 or $3,500, and they pay light, water, and gas, and everything's cut on and beautiful. It's a beautiful arrangement. Some spaces are not like that. Some spaces you may get a cheaper per square footage cost on your overall rent, but you have to pay for the utilities. You have to pay for the upkeep of the space, depending on where you're at. And so things to be mindful of in that particular situation are any other outside costs that may come up along the way that you don't expect for, you don't plan for. So in our space, for example, we are responsible for our air conditioning unit. Now, the air conditioning unit is old. It's been here for longer than I have. So I have to be mindful of some of these things will break down over time. What is that cost going to be? How does that come into factor on my month-to-month basis of what we're booking? These are things to know in advance of what you're responsible for. This is all in your contract and agreement. What you're responsible for, what your landlord or your property manager is responsible for. Have that ironclad, ironed out so that you know what's reasonable and what's fair for you. If it does not look reasonable and fair for you on paper, don't even sign up for it. Try looking for another space. And depending on the time that you're looking for a space, it may be easier to find some other options. Options may be few. Now you have to sit with, what am I willing to give or take to get into the space if that's what I want to do? Am I willing to maybe watch over some more utilities for a lesser rent payment every month? Or am I willing to take on some expenses as they may arise to get a lesser payment every month on my lease? Or do I want to pay? I just want to pay a flat rate. Here's $3,000 every month. Y'all handle that. If my toilet breaks, I'm calling you. Really depends. You can take a little risk, get a little reward, no risk, no, it just works out that way. So I think about for any space, right? Things happen. You're in a space. It's just like having a home. It's like being a homeowner. You may have a toilet that just, stops flushing, or a light fixture that flashes and flickers all the time, or you may have one particular AC unit that's just a little bit attitudinal. There are so many different things that can happen that can go wrong. And so you have to be prepared and mindful of that in advance and plan for things that may go wrong, right? If you plan to fail, you fail to plan. Whatever the saying is, y'all have heard it before. The reality is you need to make sure up front that you can withstand the rain. So if something like that comes along and there's a $300 bill for a replacement valve in your AC, it's not going to break the bank, or it's not going to send you into a spiral because all you had was the rent. Be prepared. Things happen. Have some money set aside, or at minimum, be making an income within your business to where if something falls out, you're ready to pivot in an emergency. That is very important and valuable as you move into a studio space. And that's something that you should keep in mind. Number three, the truth is when you open up a studio space, photography studio, production, video, what have you, this is a whole nother business. This is not your photography company. This is not your videography company. If you're going to brand it to outside people, now if you're working here and it's your office, cool. This is your business, extension of your business. You don't have to worry about the space making its own money. But I'll take us for an example with Greenwood. Our goal is that Greenwood pays for itself. And in order to do that, Greenwood needs to have its own clients separate of what JCI does or what my wife's business does. And so what that means is we actually have to go out and build a reputation for Greenwood. People have not heard of the space. It has not been branded. They don't know the logo. They don't just hear it and think, oh, that's the space that, Jerry and them own. I have to actually physically go out there and work to bring in new business and show people who we are. The reputation I built for JCI Creatives over the last 16 years is not the same reputation that our studio space has. And I learned that the hard way. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that opening up this space, people would be so excited and the doors would just flood in and people would sign up for networking and memberships and do what they needed to do to just keep everything just popping off the same way it has been in my photography business. And I quickly learned, and my wife actually made me very aware of this. I quickly learned that it takes work. It takes dedicated work on top of the work that you currently have to do in your own business. Like you have to create the flyers. The website needs to be up and running with a proper system. You should know what you're charging people because they're going to ask. You should have materials that tell them what you're charging them. Here's our price list. Here's how you book it. Here's the platform where you create the contracts. In the beginning, I struggled with that personally. I take full ownership of that, of getting those things out and about because I was already inundated with what was happening in my business, and I just didn't realize how much of its own entity this space was. And I feel like in that way, I wouldn't say I bit off more than I can chew, but I think mentally it kind of created a block for me. And so I had to kind of turn my mindset around and find new ways to get help because I'm one business owner. And so now I have someone who's helping us with social media, who's pushing our presence out there. I have built some systems and platforms on the back end. So when people come to us, they know how to inquire and get to us to be able to book our space. We've had people coming in to book it for photography. We're working on getting more people in for events. We're building out ad platform to be able to push us out towards more people. You have to take the time separate of the photography business to really develop what your space is going to look like. You could put it on Peerspace, you could put it on Airbnb or wherever you may want to showcase it, but you're going to be one in hundreds of people, right? And so how do you set yourself apart? That comes from being intentional about the marketing and the branding that you're going to do behind your business to put yourself out there, right? And then after you've created these things, you also have to be consistent in pushing it out there. It's not going to do it for itself. This is a new business that you need to completely dive into and separate the thought that all of the success I've had over here that's been great for this business is just going to trickle down. It don't work like that. You're going to have to retrain your audience. You're going to have to get people to buy in, let them know that this is a space for them. This is a creative hub. and you're maybe one out of 100 creative hubs in your area, you have to show them why they're going to choose you. Same way that you have to do with your photography business and setting yourself apart. So be mindful of that and have that thought through. I would say before you even sign the lease and even start gearing up, once that lease is signed, start pushing it, even as y'all are building it out to start getting that momentum up there. Because once that thing is out there and y'all have launched, people are going to be looking for it. If you got your systems in place, you want to keep that momentum swinging. If that momentum dies down, it's going to be tough to reinvigorate the audience, right? And so I want to be upfront with that and make sure that you are intentional about how you are promoting your new space and what is available to your customer base and your audience as you're bringing these people into your space. Last thing I want to touch on as a studio owner, you can get really territorial. This might just be me, but I'm gonna speak on it anyway. This is your space. You have built it out, you pay for the things, you've built it up, and you've invested your time and energy, your talent into this space. And so be mindful that when you bring people into the space, they don't think of it as your investment. They just think of it as a space. And sometimes they'll be reverent to your space, depending on who you're dealing with. They'll be reverent to the space and clean up and put things back, and sometimes they won't. I've heard horror stories from other studio owners who have come home and there have been whole footprint holes in their cyc wall. People just kicked through the wall, didn't tell them, didn't explain it, kicked the hole in the wall, left. And then when they reached out and said, "Hey, I gotta pay for that," they said no, and that was it. They couldn't hunt them down. They couldn't charge the card. They had to pay the money to get that patch in the wall fixed and do it quickly because someone else was coming in. So be mindful. This is your space. You love it. Some people will feel the same. Other people won't. So you have to be mindful of who you're inviting into your space, giving access to your equipment, your space, your studio, because this is your sanctuary and you're sharing it with these people and they only have it for a moment and you're trying to keep it for as long as you can. You want to keep it in a pristine condition, looking good, feeling good, because it is ultimately an extension of you and your brand. So keep that in mind as you're working in your studio space. So these are just a couple of truths that have come to me over the year of owning our space. So we are not just a photography studio. We allow people to come in for meetings and co-working and networking and all different sites, types of things. We are content creation space. But in this, I have learned so much just about being an owner of a commercial space. And there are just so many things to still learn. It's a very nuanced space. Not a lot of things are the same. So you kind of learn it day by day and growing, continually investing in what you have, and you reap what you sow. And so I'm excited about the new things that we're doing in the space. I think we've got some incredible opportunities that are going to come up for small business owners, for people who are looking for events, for people who are looking for photography studios. We've got ideas that we're working on and cranking out. And in the first year, it's truly been a run. I'm so thankful that we have just been able to keep the doors open to allow people to come in and create their legacy. I am just completely grateful that we have continued to grow our businesses and develop our businesses within this space. And I really feel like Greenwood has become an extension of ourselves. And I'm just always proud to have people come into the space and just see what we've done here. And so I'm thankful. Huge shout out to my wife, who's been an integral part in the space and keeping me on task. For anybody who knows me personally, y'all know I could be all over the place. So she has really been a champion for me and for this space. And I'm just thankful, man. So enough about me. If y'all like what y'all heard today, if y'all felt like this information was useful, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media, JCI Creatives. As always, Greenwood Co. Make sure y'all grow with us, brand responsibly. This has been Portrait to Corporate, where we do all things well. I'm your photography mentor, Jaron Collins. I want y'all to make it easy, take it easy. As always, brand responsibly. Let's get it.